Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's get right to this mail. By the way, a bunch of you have been noticing saying, "Hey, you're following me on Facebook," and you've sent me messages about my videos, and then you never get a response back. And the reason for that is the account on Facebook, the Perch, with the logo and everything. It's not me. It's actually some asshole impersonating me, and it is, Facebook is not going to deal with it, so they're just going to let that all go. But anyway, that's not me. It's an absolutely fake account, and I don't know if you get a response, maybe someday, but it won't be a response from me if you're going there. A couple, there's actually a few up there, and at least one of them is owned by the same dickhead who flags it, regularly mass reports this channel. So thanks for that, dicks, and thank you, Facebook, for being so on top of things that you're policing this stuff. Anyway, so we'll get to this mail and we'll leave out the part where they're asking about Facebook. So I just covered that. Anyway, dear Perch, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Ever since the Marvel solicitations for July came out, I have been puzzled by the solicits for Amazing Spider-Man. It says that Spider-Man receives the worst beating of his life, but the same gimmick was used last year for the end of the Wells run with the advertising for the most brutal Spider-Man fight of all time. Is Marvel so out of ideas that the only thing they can think of doing with Spider-Man is to have him get in a brutal fight? And 2 years back to back. I don't get it. It's the one thing to have Spider-Man get beaten by his foe, but then he figures out how to beat them. Just advertising that Peter is going to get beat up isn't really that fun. I don't know if I can articulate it better. I think you articulated it just fine. Look, it is unimaginative, and it really I don't know if it's a lack of ideas or just lack of imagination, but you'll notice, and this breaks my mind to some extent, and the things that are always in for me hypocritical or screwy. Those are the things that I struggle with a lot, and I notice that whenever I'm commenting on those, I lose half of you. I'm being a little, dramatic there, but whenever looking into a hypocrisy on one side, I lose half of you. I'm looking into hypocrisy on the other side, I lose half of you. So I'm about to lose half of you, but here it goes. I find it weird that Marvel, in particular, employees there, editors, writers, people for the company, or actual shills, people who get paid by Marvel or receive a ton of free comics to promote Marvel, and are so terrified at losing the free comics that they will compliment anything Marvel does just to stay on that gravy train in hopes that it's a notice me senpai kind of moment that comes out of that company. But these groups talk about how toxic fans, and the problem with this aging fandom is that they won't let the comics do new things. They won't let Marvel. They won't accept any new things. They won't accept new characters. They won't accept new ideas. They won't accept new writing. They just always want same old, same old. And please, I mean, please, nobody, you know, nobody be the jerk and go, "Oh, I've never seen anybody say anything like that." Oh, bullshit. We've seen Nick Lowe say that. We've seen Tom Brevoort say that. We've seen the wonderful people over at AIPT say that. We've seen Heidi McDonald say that. We get this narrative that it's these old, crusty fans, most of them white, male, and horny and straight, but also somehow incels. They won't accept anything new. They won't accept the comic companies going new directions. They just want the characters forever, the exact same as when they were kids. And it's terrible. And it's bad. And the reason why these new comics don't succeed, the reason why fans aren't all on board for Shuri. Actually, since that actress came out against the vaccine, people have cooled a lot on her. But the reason why people won't accept you know, a Hawkeye girl version comic book, or a Gwenpool teamed up with Jeff the Landshark comic, is because these asshole comic fans won't accept new things. They always just want the same old thing. And then the same people, in this case, it is exactly the same people. Nick Lowe, who's in charge of Spider-Man, in theory, he writes those solicitations, but it really feels like they're written by an intern or, ChatGPT. They promote the same shit year after year. And you're right. One of the things that they like to go back to the well with, and no pun intended, it's not just, it's not just the previous creative team. It also goes back to Nick Spencer's creative team. It goes back to Dan Slott's creative team. If you look at some of the way they advertise Spider-Man versus Doc Ock, they advertise it as the most brutal fight of Spidey's life. Spidey could never win this fight. They aggressively promote that. They aggressively hype that it's Spider-Man's most brutal fight. It's Spider-Man getting beat up. And they do this year after year after year after year. That's how they're selling the comic, while simultaneously saying that we, the fans, are the ones that won't let them ever move on and do new things. I mean, at this point, given the new thing to do in Spider-Man would be to actually have him get back to have him get married to Mary Jane again, and go back to that time. That was more than 20 years ago now, right? That was a long time ago. So we've been living for 2 decades, from a birth of a child to almost old enough legally to drink. We've been living with this status quo. It's no longer new and fresh anymore. Stop pretending it's not. But the Spider-Man getting beat up, it's strange because, number one, it's Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker. They're obviously not going to kill him. So how brutal can it be? And even like the Zeb Wells, the most brutal fight in the world with Tombstone. And we got pictures of John Romita Jr. drawing him with Spider-Man with a busted out lip and, looking all misshapen and lumpy. And then the next issue, maybe they're continuing to sell kayfabe there, but maybe Peter Parker has some Band-Aids on things, but the issue after that, he's fine. Like the problem is he gets in a brutal fight doesn't mean much when it won't last for more than one comic or 2 comics. That it's just and you're not killing him, so where's the danger? And the answer is, that can be said for everybody. You're not going to kill off Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman. I mean, they've killed off all those characters, but they're not going to kill them off permanently, and they're always going to be back. And so you'd be very disingenuous if you said that you picked up this comic that actually expected Spider-Man to die and he didn't, and how dare they? Because you should know better by now. We all do. But all the same, that makes it kind of worse, because then it's like, this is the most brutal fight Spider-Man's ever had, the most brutal fight. He will survive it, live on, and then he'll have a new storyline where he's dating some lawyer girl from Daredevil's office, and it's totally wacky. But, but it will be a brutal fight. Who wants to see Peter Parker get the shit beat out of him issue after issue after issue after issue? Is that fresh and new? I mean, if you listen to Lowe and Brevoort and some of those guys, it's like, well, the Spider-Man everybody really wants is the bad luck, Parker luck, kind of down and is out, somebody that's completely relatable to you and me, especially that one. Spider-Man's got to be relatable. Peter Parker's an average guy. I mean, average guy who's been to other dimensions, has an entire spider legion of variants of himself, has regularly dated tons of supermodels and, married one, but we've forgotten about all that right now. And he's been a tech bro genius billionaire, and he's working on Norman Osborn, and he's bitten by a radioactive spider and has superpowers and all the rest. But he's just like you and me. He's an average, ordinary guy. And that's the charm, that he's just like you and me. And because he's just like you and me, we're going to have him get the ever-loving shit beat out of him in the most brutal fight possible. Because if there's one thing you and I can relate to, it's that we also get the shit beat out of us on a regular basis. Like, is that, I don't know. I mean, are people just jumping Nick Lowe on his way home and just beating the piss out of him? Is that, and so we're supposed to relate to that? I don't get it. I don't get anything in the Spider-Man comic that is meant to be relatable to us. It's like, oh, he's got bad luck. Okay. I don't know what the marriage had to do with any of this, and I don't know what, nobody can imagine him being married. We can imagine him, having multiple powers, clones of himself, going into other dimensions, fighting alien symbiote goop. He's dating a world-class thief who's also a lesbian. We can imagine all those things, but we can't possibly imagine marriage. Anyway, it is strange. Look, that's a really weird solicitation. It just is. Spider-Man is in for the most brutal fight of his life. All right, well, after you've said that for 3 or 4 times, does it Does it matter anymore? It's like saying, hey, the WWE Championship match. Well, actually, it is exactly like saying this. The WWE, way back in the day, you had Undertaker versus Mick Foley, Mankind, and it was in Hell in a Cell. And they're like, oh, this is I think in the words of Jim Ross, my God, this is a demonic structure. I can't do a Jim Ross, but my God, what in the hell is going on here? Oh my God, somebody stop this. I mean, sorry, again, I can't do it, but hopefully you have it in your mind. The problem with Hell in the Cell is right around the time they got to Big Boss Man versus Al Snow, or was it? I think that was the match they had. The Hell in the Cell match doesn't mean as much anymore. You can't say this is going to be the most brutal wrestling match you've ever seen because everybody just knows it's not. And so when you're in Amazing Spider-Man and you're like, this is going to be the Parker's most brutal match ever. Okay. I mean, I guess so. It's a weird selling point. And yet they keep going back to it. I don't get it. And yet we're the ones that keep wanting to drag us back. I don't know. Let me know how this was in bad faith or disingenuous or I'm better than that or whatever you want to say in the comments below. And thanks for listening.